Yo, 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 what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back welcoming you to another Friday night chop session with Stormybman for this Friday, July 16th, 2021. And we are here and calling this episode 116, Super Welterweight Supremacy. That's right. We got a big fight coming up this weekend, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. Forgive me, I got a little congestion, so you hear me clearing my throat a little bit here. But I'm glad to be here and glad to see you all are out here, man. And we're going to talk about some boxing this evening, especially the fight that's on the horizon with Mr. Jermell Charlo taking on Brian Castano. They had the weigh-in today. We're going to talk about things a little bit and see if we can come up with some picks and pans about what's going to take place with that fight this weekend. But first of all, I'm going to pay a few bills here and remind everybody out there that on the main page and on most of the videos and live streams, we have the clickable links down there for the merchandise, Streamlabs merchandise for Stormybman merchandise, and we got some changes that we've made there. And if you scoot by there and click on that link, it'll take you right over to the store. You'll see that we have some more products that have varied, like we have some more hoodies and tees that are in multiple colors now, and offering that up because, you know, some people may not have liked just rocking with straight black, but there are some other color options, just as there were options with the baseball caps, and also another color option for the backpacks and whatnot. So don't forget to stop by there and pick out something for yourself and bundle up a couple of items. You know, it's very good products made and crafted with good skill there. And most of the people who have had some merchandise come through, they say that they were really pleased with the final product. So don't forget to do that. And also, don't forget, also in the description box down there, there's another link for the Black Gentleman's Grooming Company, where, you know, Stormybman is official ambassador for the Black Gentleman Grooming Company. They specialize in a number of handcrafted products. You go over there, everything from hair, beard, skin products, deodorants, made especially for us. And we can get over there, get you something up there, bundle things up there as well. And if you enter the code StormyBman, you get 10% off of your purchase. So don't forget to go over there, get you something from the Black Gentleman's Grooming Company. And one last reminder, well, I won't say last, but another reminder that for the time that I first mentioned the free giveaway, the channel has grown exponentially, and people are forgetting when they write comments on the videos or on the live streams, they're forgetting to, after they write their comment, to also type in enter to win for the free giveaway for Jackie Chan's Drunken Master Blu-ray. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss this product. This is a great kung fu film for the kung fu film enthusiasts out there. And it's also the first free giveaway for the Stormybman channel. So this is done with members in mind. It's done with subscribers in mind. Don't forget to support the channel. This is a free giveaway. You just write your comment, whatever it's going to be on the video or live stream. And then at the end of it, just write enter to win. Because every time you write enter to win, I'm tallying that particular comment, and it's going toward the 50th. That's not even a huge number. The 50th person will win this prize, and we will have other giveaways after this. This one just happens to be the first, and it is an exclusive as far as a movie, but they won't all be movies. They will be a variety of things. So if you are interested in free stuff like a lot of people are, hey man, go ahead, and when you write your comment on the videos and everything, or at the end of a live stream or whatever, just punch in that enter to win at the end of your comment so you can get it tallied. Right now, and I shouldn't even be revealing this, but I'm doing it to try to hurry things along because I want to get to some other giveaways for you guys. But we're sitting pat at 22, and only 22 people have written enter to win after their comments. And I have to admit to this, there's been one person in particular who's been writing it just to help moving it along. But it's a shame that nobody wants to support this, because as soon as we get beyond this first giveaway, there will be others, and something I'm sure to your liking as we get along and move down the road off of these giveaways. So just try to do that, will you please? Thank you. So we are here, man, and want to take a moment and go to the chat and recognize who's out there. We got Underground Asylum out there. He says he's a channel member. He says, salute Sensei, salute to you. MPWTF is out there. He says, salute Stormy. I'm saying salute to you, brother. And my man Drew Titan is out there. Curtis Price is out there. He says, right on. And Thrill Hill has joined us. He says, salute Stormy B, salute to you. Tone Brown is in the house, says salute family, salute to you. And my co-host out there in the chat doing double duty, Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens, is out there, says salute my peoples. And Toddy Belafonte says salute people. Alvin Davis is out there as well and says salute Stormy B, man, salute to you, man. So as we get down into what's been happening, this week, man, and the news and whatever is the updates in the sport of boxing, I tell you, boxing can't help but get in its own way a lot of times with what's going on around and about in the sport. We've seen it time and time again, and coming off of news from late last week, we heard that, the fight that we were so looking forward to, but the third match and rubber match between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, also known as Fury Wilder 3. Man, the fight has been postponed. Originally, we had received the news that Tyson Fury had pulled out of the fight because he had contracted COVID, or someone in his camp, it had struck his camp. And as we heard that news, it was quite disconcerting. I mean, a lot of people have felt like something was going to happen before this fight had a chance to come to fruition on the 24th. And those who felt that weren't wrong, because Mr. Fury, I think we got the news late last week. It was Wednesday, or if not Thursday, that the news really broke that the fight was going to be put on hold due to COVID running in his camp. Now, there had been reports also after that members in his camp had, been seen out in the public, even at the UFC event over the weekend. People out, exercising, jogging, working out in the gym, as if nothing was going on. But Mr. Fury had elected to, close camp. Now, the thing about this is, we knew that he had problems from that moment that that presser went down. You know what I mean? He showed up there, didn't have a shirt on, and all of that stuff. I mean, he looked like he had just finished doing a few lines in the back room somewhere or whatever. I'm sure he was sweaty and everything as he came out there, you know. But listen, the real deal is this. This man does not want to take this fight. He does not want to take this fight. He's trying anything and everything he can. And I believe he has even more up his sleeve or up his armpits, because he don't like to wear shirts. And when he does, he wear those ugly Versace crap. But yeah, I think that he has more up his sleeve. And at the end of the day, I hope that I'm wrong when I say this, but I do believe at the end of the day, he's just going to drop the belt, accept the terms of the arbitrator, and say, you know what, I don't need this. I'm going to retire. The reason I say that is his track record speaks for itself. When he had his victory over Vladimir Klitschko exercised his right to have his rematch instated, and Fury played along for a duration, pretended to have a camp, pretended to be working on some things to do even more damage to Vladimir in a rematch, and also had attended press conferences and whatnot. But then this mystery ailment of ankle injury or something, lower leg injury, came into play. And then shortly after that, it was, you know, he tested positive. You know, he popped dirty, or the dirt just came out because he's just a filthy individual to begin with. But any of that applies because the rematch never took flight. And he was stripped of the titles, and the titles were put up for auction with fights between various heavyweights out there. And that's how you ended up seeing people like Prince Charles Martin, Anthony Joshua, you know, end up with the titles. It's as simple as that. So Fury never lost the titles in the ring. He, you know, went on a drug binge and a eating binge and gained nearly up to 400 pounds. And our champion, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, reached out to him and was like, hey, man, get yourself together. You're one of the best fighters out here. You know, come on back and get yourself in shape, and I'll give you a shot. That's how it began. And the thing is, here we are today, and Fury, just like a leopard, can't change his spots. Neither does a gypsy go against what their values and virtues are. He is looking to get out of this rubber match. When they had the first fight, it was declared a draw. Wilder said, let's run it back. He went over there and signed some kind of contract with Bob Arum in Top Rank, which gave him an opportunity to take fights on the side and not go into an immediate rematch with Wilder. And then when they did have the rematch, we saw what happened there. And you look at it today, and it's playing out just the way that he does things. My guess is the next time that the new fight date, which has been announced, and I'm not so certain that they'll make it, man. It's like we really have to question what's going on in this camp. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? We had a couple more people pop in out there. Bruce Goes, channel members out there, says, salute family of Stormybman. Salute to you, Bruce. And Iron Man is out there, also known as Genghis Khan, he told me. He says, salute to Stormy B, man. Salute to you. My man CB Sports TV is out there, says salute Stormy. And Mr. Pac-Man 216 says salute Big Dog. CB, I hope you're doing fine with your new addition to the family at home and everything, man. It's good to see you out there. And we'll have you back on one of the shows very soon as you can get a break, because I know you got to change them diapers, bro. So when you get some time, let me know, and Stormy will bring you back in. But yeah, the way it's going, I can see this guy doing what he does, even leaving the belt behind and going off into the sunset. See, the way of the gypsy is this. They like to get over and get on. They don't like to linger around and give you a chance to capture them, hold them and take them to task, lock them up and throw away the key, or just give them that beat down that they may very well deserve off of other actions that have taken place prior. So if you look at it, this is exactly what it's looking like. And if you've listened to his conversations lately in interviews, he's spoken about his age, how long he's been doing what he's doing, the success he's had and how he's enjoyed things, but he hasn't really enjoyed things because, when he's high on victories and whatnot, he's really high, and then he comes down into a sunken place after all of that double dribble, drabble, babble, and that's to throw you off the scene. But it's like, if you really are observant of his actions, not just the words he speaks, you could see this is the thing. Now, he has made a life for himself over here in the U.S. because over here they've given him par gras to what he's done in the past. He can't fight in the UK because he doesn't have his license over there anymore. And the thing about it is, if he does come back over there trying to resume a career in fighting on their soil, they're going to take him to task on things that he's evaded from there. He has a court and rap sheet over there that has been unsettled. Okay? As of yet. And if you look at, the way that jurisdiction runs, it's like, as long as he's over here, that's cool. And he's tried to live Hollywood over here, but that life is short-lived as well, because he's either going to use up all his money on his drugs and them horrible shirts that he buys that he don't like to wear, so I don't know why he buys them. But anyway, drugs are expensive, and so are court proceedings. So that's all he's dealing with over here. And you run through that cash, you're going to find yourself back in the ring because, hey, you're going to need to make money. And what else is he going to make money doing? Being a crash dummy? He could probably do that. But the thing about it is, where we need to see him crash is in that ring and on that canvas against Deontay Wilder. We need to stop. But old media is not covering this. They're not talking about it. They really are not talking about his career in the sense of, what is he known for? Why can't he fight in the UK? What are the problems here? They don't discuss that. But you notice on other fighters, they'll dig deep into what you do. They'll dig deep into, your sordid past, or if you've got problems in your relationships or whatever, you got rap sheets, whatever. They'll dig. How come they not digging on this guy? And he's a gypsy, by the way. Let's not forget that part. But they're cutting him slack, and I don't like it. And a lot of us don't like it because we can see it for what it really is. We can see it for what it is. They're cheating for him and they're helping him to cheat. MP says, I think Fury is a coward and a cheater. He absolutely is. And he says he will retire. I'm thinking that as well. CB Sports says Fury is in the red with Bob Arum. One thing about Bob, you're going to pay him his money. And I think Fury has no choice dealing with Bob. Yeah, Bob been around a long time. And Fury may not know this, but Bob might be 1,000 years old. But Bob got goons out there too. You guys hear young folks talking about, ain't nothing like the old goons. Because they know how to do stuff discreetly. And they ain't gotta, the young folks be all on social media snitching on each other and themselves and doing stuff. No, Bob will make it look like, hey, it's a natural thing. Iron Man says, I hope Wilder sue Fury. I hope the paying fans sue Fury. I even hope Bob Arum sue Fury. And he says Tyson Fury is the worst boxer in the entire history of boxing. Well, Eddie Cotton has said, and RIP to Eddie Cotton, the famous referee, he was noted for saying he was definitely the dirtiest. And he said that he had reffed Galata twice. And Galata holds no candle to Mr. Fury. So it's interesting that you say that. But it's going to be even more interesting to see what happens as we go forward. Because I do believe something is going to happen. And it's going to be a bigger black eye on the sport of boxing in the kind of which we haven't had in a while. We always have some things that take place in boxing that calls out, character and things like that. But I do believe we're going to see something soon that is really going to shine the light on the sport in a way that they don't really want. But it's going to happen because how they've treated Fury in this situation. Old media hasn't done their job, and let's just face it, Tyson Fury has exhausted all avenues. He's done everything he can to enjoy his privilege, and sooner or later he's going to be held accountable, but not in the sense that we would like to see. But they're going to be forced to deal with him in a certain kind of way. And it's a shame, because if they would have just talked about it from the start, we probably wouldn't be at this point, but such is life, and that's how things are, and we'll see. But I do believe that's what's going to happen, man. I really believe that it's going to be something ugly. Let's see. Mr. Pac-Man says, how long will the WBC make Fury vacate the belt if he don't fight Wilder? Well, if he doesn't fight Wilder by a certain determined date by the arbitrator, he has, I think him being able to fight over here will be revoked as well. So that's literally putting him in retirement because he can't fight. And I do believe that the belt will become vacant at that time, and the WBC will be forced to have a mandatory fight between Wilder and someone else. It could be Dillian White, we don't know, but it could be one of the PBC guys or something like that. But there will be a battle that Wilder can fight someone for that belt once it's been stripped away from Fury. And Fury will think he can go on and fight AJ, but I don't know what kind of situation that would be, because AJ wanted to try to become undisputed with that belt from Fury. He may not have the same interest in Fury after the belt title is stripped from him, and then he'll probably turn his focus on mandatories and whatnot if Wilder is successful in regaining the title. So they've got it mapped out. You best believe on their side. But I'll tell you something. There's a wild card in all of this, and a lot of people are not giving him any credit, but I give the guy a sliver of hope, and that's Alexander Usyk. I am hoping that Alexander Usyk can come in there because he can box. And, you know, AJ is not the greatest boxer in the heavyweight division. Hey, man, if Usyk upsets that situation right there, then Hearn and AJ and all of them will be made to look foolish. And I'll ask you this. Think about it in this regard. Andy Ruiz Jr. is a little guy, right? He's heavy, you know, 250, 60, 70 pounds, right? But he's a short dude. He's only 6 feet tall, if that. He probably is a little shorter than that. They may have given him that height on the record books. But Usyk is better than Andy Ruiz. And you saw what Andy was able to do to AJ. Huh? AJ was struggling with Pulev, who was begging to be knocked out. So I'm going to tell you people, you might not know a lot about Alexander Usyk. You may think he's a strange looking dude with those crazy psychotic eyes he have and all of that. But hey, man, if AJ is going to fight this guy, root for Usyk. That's all I can tell you, because we need those belts out of AJ's hand and Matchroom, because if he retains the title over there, Ed Hearn is going to keep creating ways to put up walls and barriers and bridges and pitfalls and holes and all kinds of things to keep Wilder separated from those titles. And the idea is just to keep the titles in the UK. But you can't keep them in the UK if the guy ain't good enough to hold on to them, right? So let's just see them do something. Give this guy a chance to knock AJ's block off. And I'm not saying he'll knock him out, but there's a good chance he could win a decision. Because AJ can't fight, man. He's a big dude. He's a big muscular guy. You saw him out there in that second fight against Ruiz Jr. He was running from the man. And the man was a blubbery mess coming into that rematch. He was not in any kind of shape to do anything. And AJ fought like he was in there with Mike Tyson. You know, keep playing, keep away or something. So Chicano Prophet is out there. MP says, that's my issue. How they saying October? Hey, listen. I'm telling you, man. Wilder should be prepared to fight somebody else. That's what he should be prepared to do. They're not going to give him that chance, man. They're not going to give it. And the powers that be don't want him to have that chance. That's why they're not talking about what they should be talking about. This man has done nothing but represent the sport, himself, his family, and the title in upstanding fashion. He held the title for 10 title defenses. He's been an ambassador for the sport. And these people are treating him like he's the criminal, you know. And that goes back to like when Jose Suleiman was on Fred Barbershop Conversations. Shout out to Fred. He said when Reggie Owens was holding him to task, and Reggie was telling him he was a racist, and Suleiman came back at Reggie like, "You're the racist." But that's, you know, how they're treating Deontay. You're the racist. You're the criminal. Yeah, because he black. It's ridiculous, because you think about it, Deontay has done nothing. And I've said this before in videos and on streams. He's been an upstanding guy. It's like, if you could make a movie about a champion, right, it would be the Deontay Wilder story. But that ain't what they want, man. That's not what they're trying to sell. They would rather deal with a crackhead, huh? A guy that lies and cheats and steals. Gyps, huh? That's what they want. You know why? Because truly, Ladies and gentlemen, that's the American way. Huh? When you think about it. That's the American way. Tyson Fury is a damn good representation of the American pipe dream. And I said pipe dream because he on that pipe. You understand? The crack pipe. And the dream that they have about privilege and supremacy and all of that. You think about it. Huh? What Biggie saying, it was all a dream. Huh? Yeah, the dream. But what's the reality? I'll leave that up to you all to answer that. Iron Man says, yes, Usyk can box. Joshua is a robot. Yeah, Joshua is a robot with worn out batteries. You got it. He says, Stormy, if Usyk somehow wins his fight with Joshua, do you honestly think he will fight Wilder? Well, I wouldn't. If he didn't want to go into a fight with Wilder right away, I wouldn't hold that against him because Wilder is the toughest out in boxing. And quite naturally, a smart fighter, you defeat AJ, you would want to have a chance to defend the title a couple times or whatever to make some change. And that's, what I would expect. That's what he would want to do, make some change, had he. But of course, Hearn would be one to try to invoke a rematch clause and all of that, But unlike a guy like Ruiz Jr., if Usyk beats Joshua, he should be able to do it easier in a rematch. Those are my thoughts on that. It should be an easier go around the second time. Chicano Prophet says, I won't believe this fight is happening until the bell rings at this point. You mean until the bell rings and they start exchanging shots? Because remember, we had that perfect example of that guy who got in there with Efe Ajagba, and the bell rang and he turned around and got out the ring and walked up the corridor and left the arena. Huh? I thought that was all done for TV, but at the same time, it happened. So with Fury, they got to be exchanging blows in that first round. And even if that gets to that point, Fury could lay down, act like he got hit low or something. I'm telling you, man, this guy, you can't put nothing past him now. You can't put nothing past him because he's going to, listen, he's the Gypsy King. Huh? And the time that they taken for this to go to October, people saying, oh, he need more time to get in shape. He ain't going to get in shape. Look, his shape is blob. Okay? That's his shape, blob. You got some people who are in muscular shape. You got some people who are thin in shape. You got some people who are fat in shape. But he's just a clay figure. Huh? He ain't going to get in shape. What he is what he is. And he ain't got no intention of fighting this man. When they had that single presser, huh? He went in there and he looked in that man's face and he saw death. Huh? He saw death. Because there was no, listen, Deontay has always been a warm-hearted guy. Huh? Even against his opponents. He'll tell you, I'm going to knock you out and you're going to be number so-and-so, He'll laugh, yell out bomb squad and pound his chest and all that, with bravado. But against Fury, this presser, he was all business. And I would not have wanted to be Fury standing there when they had the face-off looking in that man's eyes. Huh? Because you have to understand what he did. Huh? He didn't just come in there, do some goofy stuff, and get a messed up victory over Wilder. This was a concentrated effort to throw the heavyweight champion down. And it was a group of people. It was a conspiratory action taken against him from a lot of sources to allow this to happen. And Wilder recognizes that. He recognizes that. So he ain't got time. When they was talking about, oh, he ain't trying to talk to the press and everything. He's it's showing a mental weakness or nothing. No, you guys have, as I stated in one of my videos, awakened a sleeping giant. Whoever gets in that ring with him from here on out, I feel for the guys. We've seen what he's done to men, not feeling the way he feels now, not focused as he is now, not with that vengeful disposition as he has now. So with someone who can knock people out like he does, now he's going in there to release on somebody. It would not surprise me at all if he did catch a body. When he was talking about it and saying it with bravado before, they didn't like that. Well, he's not going to talk anymore. He's just going to do. He's just going to go about his actions. And I don't want to see not one of those journalists and people who so-called cover the sport try to come out and say something like, oh, he needs to be in prison or something for what he did or whatever. No, you should be in prison for what you've done, because what you've done has been totally criminal in this whole sense of dealing and covering the sport of boxing in the heavyweight division. You've tried to act like this man does not exist. He is an American. He was the heavyweight champion, and you've been most disrespectful to him. So if anybody needs to be criminalized, it's you all and that fool of an opponent that's still running from him to this day. Huh? Iron Man is laughing my butt off. He says, I agree, Stormy. Big money is out there. He says, it's going down. He says, I can't wait. And Proud Father says, Wilder reminds me of a heavyweight version of Randall Bailey. They both get in perfect position to set up their right hand. Listen, Randall Bailey couldn't box, though. He was a puncher. He was a slugger. Wilder's not a slugger. You just haven't had to see him box over duration in the heavyweight division. But it's going to be hella scary now, because you know what? He's going to come in with determination to really do damage to people, but he's going to do it behind boxing. Watch what I tell you. And you ain't going to ever see it coming. It's just, going to be, holy smoke, did you see that? That's what you're going to be seeing. I want to say welcome to my man Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens. He's out here enjoying me on the channel now. What's going on, Reggie? How you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing good, OG. Man, doing real good. How's it going?
Oh, man, it's all love, man. We here, and we got a big weekend ahead of us with the undisputed Super Welterweight Championship taking place tomorrow night. So I was just, warming everybody up, talking about a few other things before you got on, because I want to talk about all of that with you. But I know you were out there listening in the chat and whatnot. What are your thoughts, since we didn't have a chance to speak about it, last Friday with the problems I was having with the stream and stuff? But what are your thoughts about the fact that this guy pulls out of the fight and then, claiming that COVID was in his camp or whatever? Now they're trying to say that he's tested negative and everything after people have caught him roaming about town with no mask on and taking photos with people and everything, spreading Delta all over the place. What are your thoughts about that? That's if he had it at all to begin with.
Man, to me, all this stuff is way out, man. All of it is way out. I don't know how the heck he's able to pull that out, because you can't fake a test. You can't fake one. Don't know what, if they're putting out misinformation, what's going on, and why he's allowed to even be extended for a fight that was ordered by court to take place at whatever was the well, for July to be in the date, and now they moving it back out. Like, everything is weird and strange. Everything remains in behind private doors, so you really don't know the full gist of everything. So it leaves for us to really kind of guess, and for folks to really do great work on kind of spying in. It's almost like the guy can't get away with anything. He can try to be slick. He gets caught. He posts going for that rental luxury place. Nobody would have ever thought to go there. People identified and found this dude. He's not too well known here in the country. Just like when I seen him going through the mall, not too many people ran up on him. So he probably, even when he's in the casino where he's staying there, not too many people taking photos of him like that. He's in this casino thinking he can move around, really not be identified, and here he is, people posting photos of him, spotting him, and then all of a sudden the fight gets announced right after all this other stuff coming out, from Joseph Parker being at the fight, to him being in the casino, renting the car, and now they come in with having to deal with a crisis management situation, because that's really what Tyson Fury caused by not staying out of the public eye. You see Teofimo nowhere being spotted. He's incognito, and that's what Tyson Fury is supposed to do, and he couldn't do it. And now it's opened a lot to where they have to come back with some other excuses for trying to to try to water down this, burnt up situation they got going on their hands because of this guy. But the problem in the sport is that nothing gets done. Nothing happens. No one's punished. No one's stripped of anything. You just continue on being who you are, except the only thing with him is he's locked in this contract to where he can't go anywhere. But to pull some stuff like that, it should have been approved, or maybe they did that behind closed door. I'm pretty sure they ain't gonna just let the guy create whatever the claim is and not have to show anything. Or is he paying a fine for something? Who knows, man, what the heck is going on, but it don't look good. It don't look like the guy's confident. That's why many people are changing their minds. Many people who view Tyson Fury as a person to go in there and wash Deontay Wilder, they're not feeling that way anymore. They can see a little bit of crack in the confidence of this guy. Everything's just strange surrounding Fury, man. And I really think he's to me, I think it's a lot of factors going in a bit. The fact that you see how extremely focused Wilder is, how upset he is, how personal this is. And also with him having that kid come along, I think he wanted to be around to see that kid before he dealt with any kind of head trauma in case he took one of those punches. I think that's probably one of the factors that played into delaying that fight for him as well. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, and you made another point by mentioning another fighter there, Reggie, and I wanted to just take a moment and deal with that. Teofimo, his fight against George Kambosos, now it's looking more like what I had said, even though you and I discussed this a few weeks back. It looked like they may try to get around the Kambosos fight, Reggie, and go right on the Lomo. And you remember me saying that? And I was saying that I didn't think the COVID thing with him was real either. Now, it turned out that we've heard information come down the pipeline that this guy, the ticket sales weren't there and everything. But when they reported that he had, contracted COVID or whatever, conflicting reports had him over in Italy on vacation with his woman. And, ESPN is saying one thing, other outlets are saying other, and then we see photos of yet and still other things. So it's like, man, is COVID and forgive me, because I know a lot of people, they don't want us to use that word and everything, but it is what it is, right? But is the C19, Reggie, gonna be a new thing to allow promoters and fighters to escape accountability and responsibility? That's a question that's definitely now on the table. What are your thoughts?
As far as him ducking out, I don't think he's going to be able to duck out of that Kambosos fight. And I really want to see that fight because I'm starting to have doubts about whether he'll be successful in that fight. I think Kambosos is overly confident going into that fight. He's taking this personal. He's upset with what is going down, and now the fight's taking place over in his home, and that's beneficial for him. But I don't think Teofimo's going to be able to get up out of that fight. Triller's put up too much money for that fight. I think they're locked in. They're locked in on moving forward with his fight. He decided to try to get out of there. He'd be locked in legal actions and be sat on the shelf for a long time while he's waiting whatever's going through the court system. And a lot of these fighters got to understand this, especially dealing in contract-driven sports. You just can't go about doing whatever the heck you want. You can try it. You're going to delay. You tie things up. You create bottlenecks in the program. Like, go off what you signed for. That was your word. You signed off on it. Move forward with it. So I don't know Teofimo's situation, if he's contracted it or not. I haven't seen anything with him. I haven't heard too much from his father speaking about it. So his situation could be a real situation. I know he was doing the same stupid stuff that Tyson Fury was doing. Going to every single event, showing up to these fights, thinking everything's cool. We live in Vegas where the rates are pretty high out here. It's escalating. A lot of these dudes taking that for granted. The stuff is still out here spreading, but some people just don't buy into data information. A lot of people are dumbed down. We live in a dumbed down country to where some people believe this virus is real, some people don't. So and it's costing these dudes, costing the sport. Then you dealing with to where, hell, boxing can be put on hiatus once again as this thing begins to spread globally. A lot of things has changed. You look at what's happening with the Olympics. Can't nobody attend the Olympics because they're factoring in that data. Sporting events being canceled. Players pulling out of sporting events because of the danger that is still out here. And what people are hearing with this variant is how bad it's tearing folks up. So some people ain't taking a chance. And these dudes just got to take heed to, especially you got money like that. The money they make in boxing is like hitting the dang lottery jackpot, like playing the Powerball. Why mess that money up? Because you want to hang out, chill when you're supposed to be locked in camp. But that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, but one more thing. Is this going to become a new means for guys to be, to shun responsibility, accountability in the sport and obligations? Like, to come up with a false reading or test or whatever for C19 and to, pull out because you don't feel confident against whoever you're facing, or to wait to the 11th hour and report something went wrong. This is something that was not foreseen, but now, and I do believe we have witnessed them using this to do other things. The Teofimo fight with Kambosos, this was used with a purpose for that. This thing with Fury, whether he has it or not, was used so he didn't have to face responsibility on the 24th. So is this a new grandfathered in excuse for those that are in the seat of possibility doing this, kicking us, the boxing public, in the pants again in a new fashion?
They can be trying it, but look what it's got them. Nothing. They still got to fight the people that this thing happens with. They probably attempted to see if it worked, but it ain't. Teofimo still got to fight Kambosos. They got a date for that. Tyson Fury still got to fight Deontay Wilder. They got I guess that date tentative. I don't know how real that date is, but they have a date. They can't escape none of this. Ain't no running away from none of that, unless they want to lose a ton of money. But it does nothing for these fighters to duck out of these fights that they've been scheduled for. It does nothing. I think it's more damaging for them to try to pull that. Even Tyson Fury's feeling the flack from it. So I think any other fighter tries to pull it, it ain't gonna work for them because you're locked and bound to that contract. You know, and you take money off your own plate. But I think you can go into something else. You're gonna owe that other fighter who you reneged on some money, and they can tie you into legal actions too. It doesn't work.
Yeah, this is the new poster that I found for the new date. Still supposed to be at T-Mobile in Vegas, but the date is now Saturday, October 9th. It's going to be interesting. I think that they're hoping that, you know, Wilder cools off a little bit because according to what was shown in his preparations, you know, he was shown to be quite intense and, you know, given a look at what they were willing to show us, because remember, they show us what they want us to see. But he looked like, you know, he's intense. And I could imagine that the reports of what was happening in his gym were much more positive than what was happening in Fury's. Did you get a chance to hear the stories of what was happening to Fury in his training sessions with the young guys, Reggie?
Yeah, I was hearing them stories. Where they come from, though, I don't know how true. Cause I don't be knowing, because so many people put so much fandom and stuff. I don't even listen to a half of the junk people talk about. So I've been hearing if he got knocked out, he was getting punched up. That's a possibility, but who knows? I don't know.
Well, this is the thing. You know, in boxing, they got NDAs. You know, non-disclosure agreements that they sign, that what transpires in camps should stay in camp and things like that. But spies have always been riddled throughout training camps of top flight fighters. So, because it gives the scribes, who are journalists and everything, something to write about, and it also gives the line setters and bettors something to go on when they started putting the odds on these fights together. And I have to say, if you've had a chance to listen to Tay Jones, he's been on top of a lot of things. He doesn't disclose very much out of Wilder's camp outside of generalizing and pointing people in a direction of which they should look for answers. But one thing that he has been able to reveal is, and he's been right thus far, he's been able to reveal that there are means that information has gotten out about Fury and his performances, particularly with Effie Ajaba and Jared Anderson. These guys have been laying hands on him out there, right? But this is the thing, and this is what I had to say about it, Reggie. It doesn't surprise me if they're kicking his butt. You know why? Because the only two top fighters that Fury has fought in the past 5-6 years are Wilder twice and Klitschko. These young men, Ajaba and Jared Anderson, are the future, and they're coming on fast. Remember me talking about, and Danny Dubois was in that class with these guys, but he has since he dropped his fight to Joe Joyce, he's taken a few steps back. But I had said this. I said that AJ has not improved as a heavyweight champion, and he's going to muck around and allow these young guys to catch up because they're still going about their careers. And AJ has been stalling and faking and fronting. He ain't been fighting. He fights like once every year and a half now. And in the meantime, these guys are putting performances together and they're fighting. FA is not as busy as Anderson is, but Anderson has been more active in the sense of he's taking those opportunities. They ask him, hey, you want to fight within 6 weeks or 5 weeks or what? Yeah. You see? And that's kind of like that mode that Tyson was in when he was a young up-and-comer. So what I'm trying to say is the talent divide is very narrow with Fury and these guys. Had Wilder gone into his fights with Fury with the proper mindset, we wouldn't even be having these discussions right now. But Wilder, as admittedly, fell in love with his power and everything, and he started to become that one-trick pony that they accused him of being. But he was not always a one-trick pony. You don't medal in the Olympics being a one-trick pony. You don't. Especially with the short career that he had. A year and a half and you're on your way to the Olympics when you got guys that have been boxing since they were 7 years old in the gym. So the thing is where he leveled off, he was supposed to be getting better from certain aspects of technique and everything. And I put that blame on he and who was working with him. But the man has rededicated himself now. And you're going to see something different because he's been forced. It's like somebody light a fire under you and you finally get that motivation because you don't want to be embarrassed anymore or something like that. This is how that happens. But with Fury, he was always thinking that he was a better fighter than he really is until he gets in there with somebody who is young, hungry, capable, and also can be a force. And between those two, Ajaba and Jared Anderson, those two men, they run you out of there if you half-assing it, you know. And Fury has been half-assing it. Look at the struggle he had against Otto Wallin. You see, that wasn't a mistake. And you saw what Otto Wallin did with Dominique Brazil. So that wasn't a fluke. And you know that Anderson and Ajabe are touted to be better than that guy, right? Otto Wallin. So it's like, it's a given that he would be getting touched up and beaten up in the gym. And they have headgear on in the gym. And you could see that man's face was all marked up, busted up and everything. Somebody been hitting him, you know. And that's a good thing. Because it would force him to focus. But the only my thoughts are is like this whole thing about pulling back, making the fight be delayed another few months. They're getting their ducks in a row. He ain't gonna fight Wilder again. He gonna accept those terms that the arbitrator put out there for him, and he gonna walk away from the sport. And then he'll be down for a season or two, and then he'll pop back up. But he will have to retire, formally and officially retire, if he doesn't take the rubber match. And that's exactly what he's going to do. His dad talked about it. He's been talking about how long he's been in the game now and all of this. And he's talking about that most of the guys that turned pro when he turned pro are either finished or whatever now. And he's only like the last one or two of the fighters when he first turned pro. So you think about it. He's giving you information about what his plans and his intent is. And I think that's exactly up his alley. He's a gypsy. And that's what they do. They cheat you, man. They cheat you. The worst thing about all of this is Wilder learned the most valuable lesson and was reminded of something. And that is, you don't go digging into a box of snakes looking for jewels. Okay? And he tried that with Fury, and he suffered the worst bite from a rattler that he could get. And I'm not placing blame. I'm just saying that there was a lesson in this, and the lesson is both for he and for the rest of us of observers, because you should learn something from this. And it's like you don't give energy to the dead. And Fury was well on his way to where he needed to be, you know, because he was never a stand-up individual. It's been proven and shown, just that old media don't want to talk about it. And that's what I have to say about that. So, but yeah, I would really like for us to move on into the nitty and the gritty, Reggie, on what's taking place tomorrow night, man. And that is the battle for undisputed at junior middleweight, super welterweight, where we have the Iron Man, Jamal Charlo, taking on El Boxy, Brian Carlos Castano. Think about it, Reggie. This fight here, a total unification for undisputed at junior middleweight, hasn't been in so long. This is going to be great. I don't think this is a 100% showcase for Charlo, though it could be if he allows certain aspects that he brings to the fight to come to fruition. But Castano is a live body in this fight, and I think for however long it lasts, it's going to be quite entertaining. What are your thoughts as we open up talking about this fight?
Man, things just got interested today for this fight, but I can't wait for it. And I think it's going to turn out to be a pretty competitive fight. I think so. I think a lot that's motivating both fighters. Jamel Charlo motivated, fighting at home. Well, not at home, but fighting in his home state. All these belts on the line. Where that position him in history. I think history means a lot to the guy. Also with Castano, you're dealing with his pride of a nation. What it means for him to become a undisputed champion, and possibly the first one from his country at that division. So, I mean, there's a lot motivating for both of these fighters. A lot of motivating factors. He had a nice presence of his country folks that was at that weigh-in. We'll see what they turn out inside that arena. Whether or not the Mexican contention that shows up is going to be there to support him as well. We just got to see. We got to see how this one shapes out. But I think Brian Castano has the tools to be able to get in there and box with him. Seeing Castano go into a real competitive fight between himself and Lore, who's also a former stable. I think he's stablemate. Well, he's stablemate of, matter of fact, both of them, because he was over with Ronnie Shields. It's going to be a pretty tough fight. But with the dog in Jamel is unrelenting, man. He keeps coming forward. He presses the attack. It takes a lot. He can endure a lot. And we'll just see what takes place. Hopefully he doesn't engage into an inside battle, because I think Castano's a fighter that likes to fight on the inside. And with him being that way, hopefully Charlo goes back to his use of the jab. And being that this is a shorter fighter, ain't like he's dealing with a jab that he dealt with coming from tall, rangy fighters long arm fighters like Rosario and Harrison. He's dealing with a guy who likes to fight on the inside. So Charlo keep the guy on the outside of the jab, catch him before he comes on the inside. It could turn out to be a very easy fight for Charlo. But hopefully he doesn't get pulled into a drag-out war, which I think Castano's possibly looking for. But that's my thoughts with that.
Yeah, the thing that I could see Castano doing is getting under Mel's skin and disrupting what we always knew was his emotional state. You've had some success. I'm talking about Mel here when I say these things. You've had some success. You've had an opportunity to come back from defeat and overcome the person that you suffered a defeat against, even if you didn't feel you lost that first go round. You became you became a unified champion and taking on Rosario, and that was exciting. But this is a whole nother kettle of fish, as Kurt Sugar likes to say. And I think the way that Castano has a chance in this fight is to draw Mel into something that he didn't intend to do or whatever. That could be exchanging. That could be fighting for too long on the inside. It could be being drawn into a circumstance of bravado. Testing your machismo. Because this is not about who's the toughest or baddest guy. This is about who's the smartest now, because you are fighting for all the marbles. And you want to fight for the marbles, not lose your marbles. And this is what it's going to be. This man has fought some tough fights. He fought Lara. He fought Derenchenko. Now, Big Charlo fought Derenchenko, but this guy fought Derenchenko when he was a little bit fresher a few years ago, so a couple years ago. So it's like when you put that together, he ain't no, and I was asking myself this question, Reggie. I'm like, is Brian Castano better than Jason Rosario? Because although Jason Rosario lifted those belts from J-Rock, it was what J-Rock did and didn't do in their fight together that allowed that to take place. See, J-Rock got drawn into something that he wasn't supposed to do, and Rosario exploited that and prevailed. Could the same thing happen to Mel? Absolutely, if he is not on his A game as far as his boxing intelligence here. I think I heard a soundbite where he was talking about, hey, if he got to go to war with the guy, he gonna go to war with the guy. That's a nice thing to say on paper or for the mics, and you got everybody out there recording you talk. But that's not necessarily what you may want to do to be victorious. You can do that to show the fans something and show how brazen you are and bold and this and that. But to be victorious at this stage and at this level, you have to have some smarts. I've already talked about his skill set, and that's why he was so high in my Thunderous Top 10. But something is telling me, and I expect him, just on paper, to win this fight, but something is telling me this is not going to be what people think it's going to be. And that has to do with intangibles, what we don't. If Castano can take Mel's punching power, meaning that he could hit him with one of his best shots and the guy keeps coming, how does that affect Mel? Because Mel put a lot of guys on ice as he grew into his power. He was stopping guys that wasn't expected to stop, like Lubin. I remember when Lubin went into the fight with him, Lubin was favored, and he got that first round knockout. It's like, it was amazing. But here you have something that's a little bit different. And as I was talking to Kurt behind the scenes on this, it's like we've taken note of these Argentinian fighters, like Jorge Castro and those guys really tough, man. And that, Reggie, I just mentioned Jorge Castro when he fought Terry Norris. That might be the kind of fight that Mel may want to fight to win. Like Terry Norris when he fought Jorge Castro, because he put on a boxing clinic for Castro, and Castro wasn't able to do to him like what he did to John David Jackson. When he and John David Jackson fought, ironically, at junior middleweight years ago. You know, it was an interesting thing because Jackson had opened up this great cut on Castro's face, and Castro did a little bit of Roberto Duran in there. As John David was landing good shots, he acted like he was really hurt, and he faltered a little bit, and he went back like against the ropes and everything, and John David went in for the kill. But John David was notorious for fighting with his hands low, and he took a thunderous left hook from Castro, and he went down, and Castro was a huge puncher. He went down, he barely beat the count. When he got up, Castro finished him off, and the ref jumped in and stopped the fight. But the cut, the fact that he was losing on points and everything, and then he got suckered in, and his title was taken away from him just like that. That's how it happened for John David. And history has a way of repeating itself. Am I saying that Castano is going to do this to Mel? No, I'm not saying that. But my eyes are open to the fact of opportunity when it presents itself. Some men are ready for it. So that's why I say he's got to be on his. I would rather he fight his most intelligent fight of his career on this night against this opponent. He may not have to do that again in his career. But on this night against this opponent, he's going to have to do some things that even he might not want to do, which are on the side of being more safe and boxing cautiously than to just be reckless. And again, as I asked this question, as I gave my long-winded statement, Reggie, I asked myself the other night, is Brian Castano a better fighter than Jason Rosario? What are your thoughts on that question?
In some aspects, I think so. I think he can take a punch to the body better, but then we have to see, because I thought Rosario was a pretty tough opponent for Charlo in that fight, and as well as J-Rock. But I think, is he better? Man, that's going to be hard. Could he be better? It depends on what kind of game plan Charlo comes out here with. Does Charlo fight as a taller fighter, as a bigger fighter? Because I think Castano is strong enough to be able to bang in there with Charlo. I haven't seen Castano hurt in a fight. I don't know if he's been dropped. I don't think he's been dropped in a fight. So that's going to be tough to compare between those two, because I thought Rosario boxed very well. He's a very strong fighter, but he's very weak to his body now. Don't know if Charlo changed that or what. And he's been buzzed quite a bit. I haven't seen that from Castano. I think Castano may be a stronger fighter as far as resistance to being punched, his ability to box. I just see him being as a guy who out exchanges his opponent. He's a pressure fighter as well. He's a come forward type guy. And to me, I think he's a guy who wins these fights off of attrition. He just tries to outwork his opponent and stepping forward on an opponent. And that's something Charles is going to have to battle with this guy. And Castano's the type of guy who will be easy for a fighter to get pulled and lured into his style of fighting, where you take away from not wanting to box. How much does this fan base playing that will probably be in attendance that loves to see the so-called Mexican style of fighting, does Charlo get pulled into that? These are the same type of people who will boo when they're seeing boxing displayed. Does he get pulled into wanting to brawl with him? Those may be some of the things that early on, from what I see, that can determine how Charlo tries to go into this fight. But then again, Charlo has a trainer who can pull him back in, who will snap his mind back into it. We're out here to win this fight. Forget these fans. To go out there and box this dude. So that's going to be some of the things that are determined for me in this fight. But is he better than Rosario? I don't want to discount Rosario just because he's suffered those two losses. But like I stated, before that knockout came, he was giving Charlo hell. And very, very solid. He was very, very solid fighter. Can Castano do that? I don't see Castano outboxing Charlo. I can see Castano trying to outwork Charlo, though. But they're two workhorses, so that's going to be a very tough fight. I don't know if Charlo will stop Castano, because Castano's very strong once again as well.
Yeah, it begs the question, because the intangibles, the things that you never think about. What if one of the men get cut and it's a bad cut? That changes things. What if one of the men get hit a shot that they ain't never got hit with before? That changes things. If a hand gets broken during the midst of the action or something, that changes things. See, this is like, and when I asked about Castano being better than Rosario, after the reviewing of the tape that I've done on him, and I watched about 4 or 5 of his fights, 4 fights. I won't exaggerate and say 5, but I watched about 4 of his fights. And what I noticed about him was he has that will that you like to see from a championship caliber fighter. He has that will. He's determined as a son of a gun. And he don't look like, you look at his face on the photo here, he looks like just like a regular dude, he don't, but just like Maul is tough on the inside and everything, so is this guy. And remember, sometimes you get too, irresistible force and immovable object, they get before it. Somebody will has to bend, and you just don't know until it happens. This is why I said that this fight in particular is going to be a pretty good fight. Do I think that Castano is better than Rosario? Head and shoulders. Head and shoulders. And that might be the difference in here. It's amazing that for all the marbles, that these two guys happen to be the ones, because Charlo's victory over Rosario, even though you said Rosario was giving him issues, there were things that he was doing against Rosario, and Rosario wasn't responding to the punches very well at all. And I figured it was just going to be a matter of time. And Rosario wasn't doing certain things that he could have done to make the fight easier for himself, meaning from a boxing standpoint, and he didn't have that. This guy does. He does have the ability to box a little bit. Am I saying he can outbox Mel? No, I'm not saying that or even trying to imply it. But I think he's better than Rosario. And if that be the case, Mel has to win this fight with his head, not his heart. He's got to be smart in this fight. And we know that he's a firecracker. We've never seen him implode in the ring, but we've seen hints of that outside the ring. And fighters who are able to keep that outside the ring and just perform like they should inside the ring typically fare well. But when they begin to implode inside the ring, that's when the disappointment starts to take place. And sometimes when you have a volatile guy, even the corner man can't settle that. We've seen it like with Zab Judah. Remember in the fight with Costa Tszyu, how, Zab didn't handle that situation well at all. And he wanted to go after everybody, including his corner men and stuff. He was like a raging pit bull in there. Looked a lot like Mike Tyson in his second fight against Holyfield, how he just kind of like went off and he was swinging at the security people and stuff. It was like, dude, where's your discipline as a fighter? Where's all that stuff that you're supposed to hold and channel? That wasn't there. Hopefully this young man is able to do the things that are necessary in that regard. But I tell you this, Reggie, if any of that is exploited one iota, it immediately evens this fight up and it becomes up for grabs. And that right there it's unforeseeable. We have to see the fight take place. Now Mel could go out there and hit him after a couple of rounds and hit him with some stuff and get him out of there. Then everything I said will be like, oh, well, Stormy said all this. Hey, that's great. I still favor him in victory But I think that this victory is going to be a difficult one if he's not fighting with his head instead of his heart. That's my determination on it. And you just don't know until the fight starts, and we will see. We will see. But talent for talent, yeah, Mel is the guy, And as I said in my Thunderous Top 10, he's shown me to be the only fighter of this current time that has won with every punch in the book. He's won with left hooks. He's won with right hands. He's won with a jab to the body. He's won with a right hand to the chin, uppercuts. Man, he has them all in his arsenal, and he's gonna need to bring them all tomorrow night. So, but those are my thoughts on that, and I would like to see this fight be as entertaining as I hope it is, because we need that, especially when you look at what was supposed to take place on the 24th is now not happening on the 24th. So the performers tomorrow night have a chance to leave a lasting impression of themselves to their next go around, because they don't have something coming in the very next week that'll take away from what they've done. So, man, super welterweight undisputed championship, Reggie. That's some exciting stuff right there. Some exciting stuff.
Yeah, most definitely. Oh, hey, one more thing that stood out for me with Castano, and that's his focus. Even while everything was going on during today's weigh-in, the guy never engaged in any of it. He stayed calm, out the way of it, and focused on what was going on. He didn't seem rattled by any of it. He seemed as if none of it ever occurred. And that's someone who was very calm, unnerved, and to me, that kind of stood out for me. That really stood out for me. So going into the rings, I don't think there'll be any jitters, no fear of the opponent he's in front of. You just look at him like another man. So that to me, that's what kind of puts me into the mind, like, this guy's coming in here with laser-like focus, a lot of pride riding into this one, and this would be an epic victory if Charles is able to pull it out. And even more epic if he stops a guy like this, because this guy is extremely focused and extremely confident.
I agree. If defeating a guy like this, Reggie, is tantamount to facing a real test before you fight for a title. See, that's what's missing today. Guys like this are usually champions or championship caliber fighters without fighting each other. But in days of old, just go back a generation, guys like this fought each other either on the way up or while they had titles, or are rematching when they do gain titles because they faced each other at another point in their career or something. So this is why this is another great fight, because this is a throwback to when top guys fought each other. And it just so happens that these two guys have all the belts. But we've seen, even in recent memory, where guys turn and don't look to face the opposition. Like, remember when Jarrett Hurd had belt, and he didn't want to face Charlo. Remember? That fight was right there for them to make. And he was, complaining and saying, oh, I need to fight me a couple of more right-handers and this and that. Excuse me. And at that time, it would have been a great fight, because I think that Hurd presented a problem for Charlo because of his size and strength and things of that nature. Not necessarily boxing ability, but physical presence and things like that, until it was shown and exposed that he didn't have a lot of boxing skill and ability. And maybe the Charlo people knew that, and wanted to exploit that by taking that fight earlier when they wanted to. But in the aftermath, that was an example of not fighting who you need to fight to see who's the best. The other fight is Lara. You know, Lara has always been there and been around, right? And he's even aging even more now. But it's like Charlo didn't fight him. And this guy fought Lara. And a lot of people feel like, I think that's the one that he had to draw. But it's like a lot of people feel like he beat Lara, you know. And Lara is not a pushover. He's definitely champion caliber fighter. So it's like, what will we see? I don't know, but it's about the best that division can offer on that night, which is tomorrow. And I hope to be tremendously entertained by it. I really do. I also felt like Mel coming in today at 153 showed how serious he was about, you know, being prepped for this fight. He came in a whole pound underweight, and that's not a bad thing, because I think with him, it was just he was on and he was ready. But, you know, to be prepared for a fight of this magnitude, it's good stuff. And then you look at Castano came in at what, 153 and a quarter or something like that. It's like he was right there too. So it's like, my goodness, Reggie, these two dudes, man, they gonna clash like rams in the forest, man. And I want to see it, bro. Listen, there's nothing like quality boxing with something on the line. And both of these men have something on the line, man. And I love it. And I just, you're calling it, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we'll be in there and checking it out, and we're going to do a post-fight on it and everything. Listen, I'm excited, man. I really am. I love the fact that we're getting another undisputed title fight just within months of the last one with Josh Taylor. You know, it's like, man, so that's great, man. That's great. And hopefully we'll get another one after this before the end of the year. So it's like, man, come on, bring it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I want to see him defend a couple of times as an undisputed champion. I would like to see him defend that and possibly defend it against Lubin. See what he can do in that fight.
Yeah, because, you know, we've seen in recent memory, when someone has become undisputed, they moved on up to another division. Excuse me, I'm yawning all of a sudden. We've seen that, and I would like to see a couple of more fights at this weight class against a couple of opponents that are worthy of seeing him fight. You know, definitely the fight against Lubin, a rematch there, because Lubin professes to be better and more dedicated with his focus than he was maybe going in that first go round. Charlo may feel like it's really nothing necessary to revisit, but just like he wanted to get back at Tony Harrison, who didn't knock him out, by the way, it was just a decision that went another way that people felt could have gone another way. So, but yeah, get a kid what he wants, you know, let him, he thinks he's up for the test, put him to it and let's see it. And then, hey, the Hurd fight is still there. You never fought him. Go beat up on him some more. He seems to like to take punches. Go give him some. And then maybe Lara. Lara's there, you know. Or did Lara move up, Reggie? Is Lara at middleweight now?
I think he is at 160.
Yeah. So, Lara's out of the picture. But, hey, man, your boy Earl is talking about coming up. So that'll be a good fight. If Earl becomes undisputed at welterweight, then next year sometime go up and fight the undisputed champ at super welter, that's a great showdown, and there's a story there because they're out of the same camp and trained by the same trainer. It's like, and one is shooting for greatness. Hey man, this is the stuff of lore. You know what I mean? So why not? I mean, what are your thoughts, Reggie? And who else do you think is at 154 that he could fight before moving up?
As far as you talking about just him fighting at 154 that's left over?
Yeah, after if he wins tomorrow night, who else could be on the horizon for him?
I definitely want to see that rematch between him and Erickson Lubin. You also got the other dude who really, he ain't even worth fighting anymore. I was gonna say Jared Hurd, but Jared Hurd is falling so far up off the top. He ain't even worth giving a shot at right now because it does nothing for Charlo, and that's unfortunate. Dang, who else is out there? Who else is out there at 154? Oh, the tall kid. Wait. Is that tall kid 154?
Oh yeah.
For Duna.
Yeah, Fundora. Yeah, Fundora. That guy.
I would like to see him and Fundora go in there and scrap it out. Would like to see him fight Fundora. I think they're keeping Fundora active enough to probably set that up. Who else we got out there? Oh, Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu is looking to mix his name up into that batch. And you also got the other kid out of the UK. He's the son of Nigel Benn's son. He 154 too, right?
No, he's 147. Connor's at 147.
Okay, smaller guy. Who else you got out of there? Eubanks is at 60, right?
Yeah, Eubanks is at 60.
There's
one more name that we're not thinking of, and I don't have the ratings in front of me.
Yeah, I think his best bet after those two fights is to go ahead and move it up. Move it on up to 160, but definitely fighting Tszyu. Definitely taking on Costa Tszyu's son, because that guy is really on his way up, starting to try to make some noise about himself. So that's who I see at 154 before going up. I don't want to see him and Earl fight. Hopefully they don't have to do that. They can take things out between each other.
And I know this is far-fetched, Reggie, but what about a possible third fight between he and Harrison?
If Harrison is there, man, I don't know if Harrison is starting to taper off, but I would have loved to see that one. I think Harrison may be tapering off a little bit. Definitely think he's tapering off. But he also got some 147-pounders who are talking about fighting him, such as Crawford, and you have Danny Garcia all talking about moving up there to fight Jamel. So those may be some possible fights for him before going to 160.
Yeah.
Because his brothers should be moving out the way. All three of them should be clearing the way for each other.
Yeah. Interesting stuff, man. Interesting stuff. But as far as tomorrow, man, it's gonna be big man night in the super welterweight division tomorrow night, man. These two guys, and I'll tell you, anyone else outside of Mel, I think Castano beats right now. I think he beats Lubin. You know why I think he beats Lubin? Because the pressure that he puts and the way that he punches, he's eventually going to catch Lubin with something, because Lubin is very chinny. But he tries to mask it behind defense and everything. But for 12 rounds, trying to stay out of the way of Castano, and he throws punches orthodox, but then every once in a while, he's got some very unorthodox shots that he throws in there. And Lubin's the kind of guy that he'll find those shots on his face some kind of way. He'll either dip into them or pull back away from them or something. He's just that guy, you know, and he has to fight a perfect fight to stave off from getting in trouble, you know. And I think that Castano is the type of guy. Plus, there's something about him, and I can't speak this enough, Reggie, that intestinal fortitude. The guy he's strong. He's got inner strength. So he's not just going to hang it up because he gets hit a good shot or something like that. unless he gets hit cleanly and he just can't take a shot, which we haven't seen. But again, if that were to happen tomorrow night, that's one of those things. It's an intangible. Oh, we didn't know that. We didn't know he had had a glass jaw. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it'd be funny for stuff like that to all come pouring out at a big fight. It is like, oh man, and it's like wah 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 wah. You know, it's like you built it up to be this, and it just comes out. It only reached up to a certain level, and then it is tapered off or something. You know. Yeah. Any more thoughts?
No, that was all I had on that one.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit now about hold on one second. I was trying to get something straightened out here on my okay, I want to say let's talk a little bit about a fight that's coming up on the horizon, Reggie. And we had a chance to see the press conference, the presser for Pacquiao versus Spence. Man, this is hard to believe that Manny is going to do it, Reggie. He's going to get in there with Earl, the best guy at welterweight at this time. So this, hats off to Pacquiao, man, because we all thought that he was going to evade this fight and just stay away. He playing around with Crawford's name and everything, but we didn't think that this was going to happen. So, you know, salute to Manny Pacquiao for stepping up to the plate. Remember when he got in the ring with Earl after Earl's victory over Sean Porter? It was like, Manny, do you want to fight Earl next? He was like, oh, he's a good fighter. So we're a couple years removed from that now, but here he is. He's getting ready to take on Earl. What do you think, man?
This is a torch passing, man, but I think it's going to be a tough one. I don't think Manny's coming in here to lay down against Earl. And matter of fact, they both southpaw fighters, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be something different. That's going to be something different. That awkward style of Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao still can strike. He hits pretty hard. Combination punching. And it's just all about how well does Earl find the timing on Manny Pacquiao. He has good volume of punches as well, but does he deliver? Because Pacquiao moves up out of there. He dips, lowers, side to side head movement is good. You throw out punches, you miss, Pacquiao's going to catch you with something. They're going to come in flurries. But then again, Pacquiao has to deal with the height of Earl Spence. I think that height, the volume jazz from Earl Spence, the body work, they may begin to take an effect on Pacquiao as well. But Pacquiao's going to come in here in extreme shape. I don't think he should be overlooked. And I also was having this thought, man, what if Pacquiao's the first person to drop Earl Spence? That'll be another thing, man. How well does Earl Spence respond to if he is hurt with anything and dropped by Pacquiao? How does he get up from that and continue to press forward? But I'm not going to count Pacquiao out just because he's up in his 40s. Still a tough guy. He's hard for a lot of fighters to figure out. He has an awkward style, that hopping and bouncing around style, coming in with the flurries, letting off quick punches at you. Not everybody's going to be able to Marquez him. I know people saw that, but nobody's been able to duplicate that neither. But that's going to be a good fight, man. But this is definitely a torch passing fight. Good name to have on the resume, but it's going to be tough to get that name in the win column on the resume. But ultimately, I think Earl's going to come out victorious in this one.
Hey, Reggie, do me a favor. Can you read those last couple of comments by Michael Fuller out there? And, you know, I'm going to be quiet, but just take a look at them and, you know, let them know what's up with Stormybman's channel, man.
Wait, which ones he got? He says, well, from when Lubin at
no, after that
says,
one. After that one.
Says look like it's 3 people. Says in the chat. Says it's about to be 2. Says don't be rude. Respond. Acknowledge your chat. Says the Spence. Says that Spence. The Spence that fought Danny Garcia loses despite. Says but Spence is back with Blu-ray. Says he will be physically ready to punish Pac into the later rounds. Just because he's with Blu-ray don't mean he's gonna win a fight. It's about him being with Derrick James, in my opinion.
Yeah, first of all, most of the people that come to this channel, they usually have photos with their avatars and everything, with their names and everything. I know that I've been getting a lot more traffic lately, and people who never really come out, never say who they are or what's up or whatever, and they just pop in. But if you have any knowledge of what goes down on this channel and how I handle things, I'm never rude. But I think you're being rude by writing something like that in my chat. This is my chat, my channel. You had to subscribe to be able to write something in my chat on my channel. So if you don't like how things are being conducted over here, you know what you can do. Seriously. But I have a great deal more to do out here than to be trying to be rude to somebody. I take offense to what you wrote in there.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. But I just put him in timeout. You know, I don't deal with that foolishness, man. I told you. You know, it's like, really? Really? You gonna write that kind of stuff over here? There's plenty of people out here, man. They calling people out their names and doing all kinds of stuff, and you guys just be key, ha ha ha, all up in there with them. Reggie and I are talking about breaking down these fights, and you want to come over here and be disrespectful and disruptive. You don't know how many people are in the chat. There are plenty of people that's out here in my chat that don't even write. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for you to come here like that, you won't make the replay. My thoughts, Reggie, are similar to yours with Pacquiao and Spence. I think that Pacquiao is definitely a live wire in this fight, and you can get shocked. You can get electrocuted by this wire if you're not careful. Earl, who wanted to exercise boxing ability against Mikey Garcia, Pacquiao is head and shoulders above Mikey Garcia. He better be prepared to do that in this fight, because Mikey, when he did let his hands go, he was able to hit Earl a couple of times. But Mikey is also orthodox. So that may have been just, you know, a kind of a thing where, okay, orthodox southpaw but now you're talking about two southpaws. Who's going to have the advantage there? It's going to be very interesting. But I do believe that Manny would not have taken this fight if he thought that Earl posed a set of problems for him that Crawford does. You know, Crawford has a lot of good mobility, being able to switch from orthodox to southpaw. And even Freddie Roach had said this in comments years ago. He said that, you know, Bud Crawford can do a lot of what Floyd could do, you know, with the exception of being able to switch. Earl can't think about just being a bigger, stronger guy and going in there like that because, you know, Keith Thurman had that mindset too and found himself on the canvas in the first round. So he's going to have to be careful with that and be respectful. But if he keeps Manny at the end of his jab, gives him angles and things like that, if he's able to time Manny's rushes, because he does that little hop and he leaps in, but his hands are very quick. Manny doesn't have fast hands. He has quick hands, and quick sometimes is a lot different than fast, because fast can be run in volume, but quick is off of movement. It's off of reaction, you know, and that could be something. And Earl has a glitch when he's transferring from offense to defense. It's not smooth all the time. And that's before the car accident and everything. It's just been something that's been a little bit of an Achilles to him, but nobody's ever really been able to exploit that in the ring. To a small degree, Sean Porter did, because Sean Porter, when he gave Earl some difficulty, it was when he gave him that little bit of movement, when he got on the side of Earl and stuff like that. That was what was advantageous for him. And Manny can do those things as well, probably better than Porter. Porter did it out of necessity, but Manny does it because he does it naturally. So it's like that. It's very intriguing, Reggie. I think this is a very intriguing fight. Earl should definitely be favored, but can the old guy pull another rabbit out of his hat? I mean, we'll have plenty of time between now and then to get to, you know, breaking it down even more. But they had the press conference this past week, and it was interesting to see the two gentlemen on the dais talking, and they were very respectful of one another, and they wouldn't answer certain questions like the media person wanted them to do. You know, like, what, you know, how do you think that you can handle Manny, this and that? He's like, well, we'll have to see on fight night and this and that. And Manny, they asked him, you know, what do you think it's going to take to beat Earl? And he's like, well, I can't tell you that right now. He's like, this, we have a plan, but it's like, I can't tell you what our game plan is. So it's very interesting to see the two gentlemen up there and being respectful and everything, and showing the class that needs to be shown from time to time in the sport, to let people know that we're not all savages out here, that some of us can, you know, wear a suit and a tie and don't have to get the suit all dirty and ripped up at the end of the day, like Michael Bent and Herbie Hyde. You remember that press conference, Reggie?
No.
Michael Bent and Herbie Hyde, they were in England, and they had an outdoor press conference. And they were talking crap to each other, and then they got into a fight, man. And it was like, Reggie, it had rained, so the ground was wet, and it was like they were like outside of a castle or something in England. Them two dudes got the wrestling on the ground and stuff. Their suits was dirty, and one of them had a rip in the suit. It was like funny. You can Google it. It's like on YouTube somewhere. It's like Herbie Hyde and Michael Bent press conference, man. That was so hilarious to me. They out there rolling around in the mud and stuff. Goodness gracious, man. Funny stuff, man. But boxing, you gotta love it, man. Boxing is always entertaining. It really is. MP
Yeah, the
says,
real it is.
MP says, Pac believes he's better than Porter and can do more damage and a bigger puncher than Porter. He's a cleaner puncher than Porter. And Watcher's out there. Salute to you, Watcher. He says, when Earl leans back, sometimes with his hands out, that has to stop. He gets caught like that. Yeah, that's that transmitting from offense to defense that I was talking about. And again, you could be certain that Manny and his people have been watching for stuff like that. So he's going to have to clean all of that up on fight night. Can't get in there trying to do it, because you can find yourself down on the canvas when you make those kind of mistakes with a guy like Manny Pacquiao. And when Pacquiao has caught guys and put them on the canvas, it's always been a surprise shot, Reggie. A shot that the guys didn't expect, and next thing you know, they're hurt or on the canvas. And it's like, you know, it's almost like they don't expect him to have that kind of speed and quickness, you know, and then have that pop as well. He's always had a great purpose, a combination of quickness and power. So we'll see, you know. And don't forget, Manny has beaten some bigger guys before, like Margarito. You know, Margarito was a big welterweight, you know. And, you know, Manny's been in there with some guys. So it'll be interesting.
And the great, some shorter dudes specialize in beating up people bigger than them. So,
yeah, right. That's something that is always, you know, even in real life, you know, not just in the boxing ring. There's some little dudes that always relish handing some big dudes something, don't they? Yeah. So, but yeah, man, this great night of talking and building up the fights for tomorrow night. Now it's nothing to it but for them to do it, and then we'll come back tomorrow night and talk about it once again. So why don't you go ahead and leave everybody with some thoughts of where you're going to be and how they can catch your call on it, Reggie, and let us know what, you know, what your final sentiments are on tonight's show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Another great show as always, man. We got a undisputed. One of the things we look for. And the funny thing, man, people always talk about what they want in boxing, but it's mighty odd how people are so silent on this fight. And what is it? Because Castano ain't a celebrity boxer, but this is what you want in the sport. Two good guys going in here to battle out for all the belts, one face, one name for a division, and one of the most competitive divisions in boxing where they fight. Ain't no sitting on titles. They fight. And this is going to turn out to be a good fight. You got a guy who ain't coming in here to lay down. 154. Hopefully we don't come into a draw, but if we do get a draw, that means it was a good fight and they do it again. But I'm going to be calling this fight on both channels, my main and backup channel, Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens and Boxing Conversation with Reggie Owens too. So looking forward to this one. Hopefully Charlo can come out here victorious in this one and continue on with his reign within that division and wherever else he moves to. That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and, you know, again, you guys can come right here, right back for the post-fight show, as we'll come back and talk about the evening's matches. I know we got Rolly appearing on the undercard again. That dude is out there, and we'll see. His opponent kind of came in overweight, Reggie, so he can't lose his belt on the he can't lose his belt on the fight, in the fight rather. The guy has to, you know, vacate, or what, I mean, the belt will be if Rolly loses, the belt will be up vacated or whatever, I guess they say. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, man, it's going to be I just look forward to a very good fight between Charlo and Castano. It's the type of fight that we always talk about. And like you just said, you know, when we get a chance for these unification bouts, we need to support it and show support. These men put it on the line. They're out there doing what they do. And, you know, this is what we asked for. So, you know, I want to see it. I'm sure you want to see it. And that's what it's all about, man. Get out there and perform. And I don't know. I guess you could probably say that some of this is due to maybe those comments that Mel had made about Wilder and stuff. That didn't help him. You know, people would probably like turn a little sour on the guy, and they may feel a certain kind of way about him as a result of that, because there's so much against Wilder right now. It's like, man, it's really sickening to see that. It's like, where has he done anything for people to feel like they're feeling about him? And you think about, you know, all of the stuff that Fury has done and the antics and everything, even before fighting Wilder, you know, it's like, where's the respect, you know? But I guess this is just the way it's going to be, man. And, you know, but hey, we'll tune in tomorrow night. This has been a great show. Thanks to Reggie out here helping me out here on the Friday night chop session as he does. And we will be tuning in to his channel tomorrow night to listen to the fight call. Salute to everybody that was out there in the chat. If we weren't reading your comments, you know that's because we were talking the X's and O's. We weren't trying to intentionally ignore no one, but we were just trying to get the conversation in. Really appreciate everybody that came out. Slap that like button on your way out of here. And I see my man Scrapbook Boxing just popped in here at the end. I hope you were listening before now, Scrap. Good to see you out there. We had a great Three Wise Men of Boxing show last night, Kurt Sugar, Scrap, and I, where we talked about coaching and mentoring in boxing. I think I saw you in the chat yesterday, Reggie. You were out there, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, it was a great show, man. We caught up on a lot of those trainers and coaches from bygone eras and everything, man. That was an outstanding show. We were really proud to get that one in. But yeah, man, this is all. Jeff Smith, we see you. He says, what's good, y'all? And MP is saying salute. And he says, your opinion, if someone has all the belts, if they don't move up, how many times should they fight? I think that guys, when they win all the belts, they should at least defend the title 1 to 3 times. You know, they don't have to keep on, but it's like at least a couple times, because that really, you know, says that not only did you become undisputed, but you defended the undisputed title as well. So, and I think that's kind of what Reggie was alluding to earlier about liking to see the guy, you know, not just become undisputed, but defend it once or twice to say, hey, I'm the man. I cleaned out the division. I got all the belts, and you do it the right way. And, you know, there you go. So, but yes, sir. That's it for us for this evening. For my man Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens, this is Stormybman. We're going to check out for now and catch you guys tomorrow evening. Peace to everybody. Have a safe and great weekend. Peace.